Weed, and today I am joined by Derek and Hector here, who are going to be talking to us a little bit about a title coming out in about 3 weeks, April 16th. Is that
April 16th?
April
yes.
16th. It is, of course, Injustice: Gods Among Us. Guys, welcome to PAX.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have it here inside the Twitch booth where we're currently broadcasting live from the PAX floor, and I mean, it's been filled up the whole time.
Yeah,
so.
I know. It's awesome. We can see the line here, so it's inspirational to see all the people waiting to play the game while we talk about it. It's awesome.
So for those that are out there that are like, okay, wait, hold on, back up a second. What's Injustice? Like, you want to give us the breakdown, just the?
Yeah, for sure. Starting out, obviously, Injustice is kind of the next fighting game from our studio. We're NetherRealm Studios. We're based out of Chicago, Illinois, and we've been more well known for developing the Mortal Kombat franchise over years. And Injustice is kind of the first game that we're stepping outside of that realm. We worked with DC Universe before in 2008 on Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, but this is the first time that we're actually creating a game that has no Mortal Kombat in it, and it's just DC. So DC characters in their environments, in their own thing, with our own kind of crafted story. It's all DC, and it's been a wild experience, man. It's been great. The last few weeks especially have been awesome. Our team has been all around the world. We were in Europe for a couple weeks. We were in New York. We were in Toronto. We've just been all over the place, and now we're here in Boston with one of the latest builds of the game out there and getting people's feedback.
So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about who this is aimed for, because comic book fans, fighting game fans, general just want a good story with this particular universe.
We're obviously trying to just bridge the gap between kind of like the casual kind of like players that are just going to want to be Batman. How many people out there in the world want to be Batman? And then with Mortal Kombat, we kind of got a big good reception from kind of like the hardcore tournament community, as well as making kind of a tournament level fighter. So we're just trying to bridge the gap between these two worlds and just make a really fun game. At the end of the day, we're just trying to make as fun a game as possible. There was a young lady that was playing Injustice earlier, and walking away, I overheard her, and she was like, I don't even like fighting games, but that was awesome. Can we play again? And she got back in line and played it, and that's the exact experience that we're kind of looking for. Is we just want people to kind of get over that kind of hump of thinking that they need to be super technical and just have a good time being Batman and throwing batarangs and doing cool stuff.
Now, you guys are going to go over some of the general basics, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but you do excite me a little bit, because of course I come from a competitive gaming background, and so that's obviously something that I care about and want to see happen. And just by observing the game for a good hour, it's very evident to me that you want to facilitate not only the ability for someone to just pick it up and enjoy the game, but also I saw the frame data in there. I saw, because you guys were in the practice mode, seeing the percentage, damage done and where that hit. So, I mean, this really does cover the full spectrum for anyone who would want to pick this up.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the pedigree of our studio. NetherRealm Studios is made up of industry veterans that have been doing this for years, and a lot of new school kids as well. And all of us are gamers at heart, so there's things that we're all very passionate about that we want to see in the game that's going to make the experience better for as many people as possible. So with having the frame data and having the damage available and all that kind of stuff, that speaks to the more hardcore, the more kind of the people that have the ability to count frames in the middle of a move. But at the same time, we also want to make the game viable for those people that just want to have a good time with it. So there's tools that we put in the game to make the experience just as good for them as well. So there's a really low barrier to entry to play. I know it's a cliche kind of term, but it's easy to pick up, very difficult to master.
Absolutely.
But I think that's kind of what the DNA of Mortal Kombat has always been in fighting games from our studio. We have a very low barrier to entry, and it's just fun. It's fun to sit around and play with your friends and do these cool moves, and even button mash, and cool stuff happens. I mean, you're not going to beat tournament level people. You're not going to beat Derek here button mashing, but you'll still have a good time, and you'll be able to pull some stuff off and have a good time with it.
All right, fantastic. So you're going to actually take us through some of the basics of the game. I mean, kick it off.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna go through and we're gonna show you guys some kind of the basic building blocks of the game, and show you kind of some of the things that we've done differently from Mortal Kombat, and to kind of create a different kind of fresh feel with Injustice. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the game modes that are available as well. We won't get too deep into it because we have a couple streams this weekend, and we'll get into them. And then we'll talk about some other stuff, and then we're gonna bring on some other special guests to kind of talk through some of the more technical stuff at the end. So it should be a good time. I'm glad, and I'm very grateful that Twitch has had us here. here. It gives us a good kind of platform to get us out there, and we know that, you know, fighting games are a big basis of Twitch, and, you know, the ability to be able to stream all that out. So we're really grateful. So thank you for having us here. So if we can go, we'll just start out with the game.
I would say, so Arturo and Nerd Josh are here. They're going to be coming up here in a bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to whet the
just to whet the appetite.
Yeah, exactly. Appetite just a little bit.
Yeah, Arturo and Josh.
They were trash talking each other 5 minutes before this began. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of their mouths. So.
Yeah, you know, we were very fortunate. You know, towards the end of the project, once the game was kind of like, you know, closer to development, we brought in a bunch of high-level players, and Josh and Arturo, you know, obviously we're two of the guys that we have a good relationship when we brought them in, so they were actually able to come in and help us balance the game, and, you know, I think they'll be a good advocate to kind of talk to that kind of audience. So
I should see the sickest shit from you, Arturo. All right?
That's no problem.
All right,
cool. So I guess we're going to start out just kind of like in practice mode a little bit, and we're just going to show you guys some of the stuff that's cool about Injustice. We kind of changed the fighting game a little bit here. Mortal Kombat had 4 attack buttons. In Injustice, we've made 3 attack buttons, which are light, medium, and hard. And then the 4th button, or 4 as it's kind of referred to in the fighting game community, is the character power button. Now, every character is going to have a different power. You see Batman has released his kind of like robotic bats. If he holds down and 4, it actually acts as a parry. But if he also just hits the button, it fires him out as a projectile. For Superman, not that he needs it, but if I hit my character button, I actually get stronger for a little bit, and I can actually do a little bit more damage than normal. You know, it was really cool to kind of change the button scheme a little bit. Again, this is we're creating a brand new franchise. We're creating a whole new IP, so we're able to do things that are a little bit different that might be considered blasphemous if we tried to like change Mortal Kombat up and you know, change it to 3 buttons. We got rid of the block button as well. Now it's actually like holding back to block. Again, speaking to that, like, you know, lower barrier of entry, trying to get people in there that wouldn't normally be playing kind of fighting games, just making things a little bit easier. Another thing that we have in Injustice is the ability to apply meter to your moves to kind of change the attributes to them. So you can see kind of like Batman throws the grapple hook, but if he holds right trigger down while he does it, it actually stops in front of the opponent and does it. I can do it the same way. I can do this eye laser, but if I do it holding down the right trigger and burn a bar off my meter, it hits him twice and it does another thing. So it adds a layer of kind of depth and complexity to change the attributes of your moves.
And how are you building meter? Like your typical way is taking damage,
taking damage, hitting damage. Blocking. It's all kind of it's all different. It all exists in the mind of our designers on how those things kind of like get out. For the purpose of this demo, we've set it to be refillable the entire time, so people at home that are watching it, you know, don't worry, like, you know, you won't be able to just spam and do these moves over and over again. Left bumper is a throw. You do kind of like a regular throw, and the special moves are like fighting games. You know, we have a lot of down backs, you know, down forward, things like that. One of the things that sets Injustice apart from some of the other contemporary fighting games is the ability to interact with the background. Now you can see right now that we're kind of in front of this helicopter, and both Derek and I have the right bumper prompt next to our health bars in the top left and top right corner. That lets you know that you're in range of a background interactable object. So you see Derek will hit me, and he can actually hit me into that helicopter, and then we can kind of like bounce. You can bounce into it and start a combo and kind of and do into it. But one of the cool things about Injustice is that it's not a kind of a cookie cutter. Everybody interacts with interactables the same way. So we're going to move over to the left here, and you can see this kind of helicopter. Sorry, this air conditioner vent that's in there. Derek can jump off of it because he's Batman. He's more of a gadget kind of agile character. He interacts with it a different way. Superman, on the other hand, he's not going to jump off it or be an acrobat or do anything. I can just kind of like grab it and kind of like throw it at him. So there's definitely kind of like a meta game that goes into what background you pick, because different interactive objects are used in different ways by the different kind of characters that go on.
Random question, but does that make it a little bit more difficult to? I mean, I've never heard of a fighting game where, you know what, we need to actually balance the stage to the characters as well.
Yeah, you know, it was definitely a challenge. You know, our design, we have a really strong design team and programming team, and just everybody in general, and everybody really worked on making sure that this kind of like feature of the game was top notch. You know, Ed Boone, our team lead, he always kind of pushes the team to do something new every game. You know, he doesn't want us to just recycle the game over and over and kind of put the same thing out. So every game we try to push it a little bit forward and add a little bit of a different different kind of aspects of the game.
Cool. All right.
So because the interactive objects are so different, and because you can do all kinds of like cool stuff with them, we didn't want to just limit the arenas to kind of like one level. So Derek is going to hit this kind of like a big water tower over and throw it on top of me, and then we're going to kind of transition into the next level. So when you're at the borders of the arena, you're able to hit back in A to kind of do this big hit, and then we're going to knock you into this big kind of transitional piece that our cinematics team and our animation team worked really hard on, and our effects team and everybody else to make them really cool. And we go down, and now we're in an entirely different level of the arena, which has a number of different interactive objects as well that you can kind of play through. So you can kind of turn the faucet on and knock the guy over. Batman can jump up and do all kinds of like cool, gnarly stuff as well. We'll come over here into the middle of the arena. There's this kind of dumpster here. You know, Batman swings it across, but Superman can obviously pick it up and launch it over his head. There's a truck in the corner. Batman can pick up the thing and go onto it, but Superman can go over here and kind of just pop that into him and knock him out. And then another cool thing that we have in Injustice as well is we have like a very cinematic moment that happens, once or twice a match. It depends on the player. And what that is the super move. And it's kind of like the big cinematic moment in the match. You know, MK has always been known for this. We've had the X-rays, we have fatalities, we have these big kind of like cinematic moments that do a bunch of damage. And the way to do that in Injustice is you hit the left trigger and right trigger at the same time when your super meter is filled up all the way, and this big kind of huge cinematic event comes that are completely influenced by the character. You know, what their weaponry is like, what their character is like, stuff like that. So Superman, Batman calls in the Batmobile. Superman here grabs his opponent and kind of knocks him into space and does that cool bit. So people have been really getting into them, and it's really easy to do. So you can see people when they're playing the game, when they kind of get their super meter build up, you can just see them, waiting for that moment where they can kind of like go in there and bust it in there and do it. So it's been a really great experience working with DC. Like they've been completely agreeable to everything that we wanted to do. They haven't really said no to anything that we wanted to.
Have they helped with the storyline of the way the universe goes? Can you tell us a little bit about the single player and how that?
Yeah, sure. As a matter of fact, let's kind of back out here and we'll kind of walk through a bunch of the different kind of the different modes of the game. They've been really cool with us. You know, our team, our story writing team, actually wrote a really good story in MK9, and we obviously wanted to give them the opportunity to do that again. So they actually wrote the story, and we sent it to DC, and you guys have comments, stuff like that, and they loved it. They loved it so much to the point that they actually created a comic line based on the story of our game, which is kind of weird in a way to have like a comic book based on.
We see it happen one way so much, but
why
not the other way.
Why not it go the other way?
Great.
So it's actually been really cool working with them. Since the beginning when we showed them kind of like the first things that we wanted to do with the game, they've been completely behind us, and they've wanted to do stuff.
Before we actually jump into single player, if I could just like really quick fire off a few questions that I just know that Chad is asking about right now. How many characters are in the game?
We have 24 characters are going to be available in the game upon launch, and then obviously we're going to continue to support the game after launch with DLC characters that'll be coming on a little bit more, and we haven't finalized that number yet, but we just announced the ability to purchase a season pass for at least 4 characters that are going to be coming out post-launch.
Okay. How many stages are in the game?
There's 15 stages total, but a lot of those stages are multiple tiered, so it's not just 15 kind of like things. It's Metropolis has 3 levels. Atlantis has 1, so there's a differentiation between them all, but there'll be 15 stages total.
Okay, all right, and the release date, of course, April 17th.
April 16th, the day after your taxes are due here in America.
There we go.
So I want to go into kind of the single player and just talk over a couple of these modes. Single fight is something that was asked for by the community 100%. This was the ability to kind of play a specific matchup over and over again. So if you're a Superman player who just can't beat a Lex player, you can go into single fight, pick Superman, pick your opponent as Lex, custom set their AI, and just play that match over and over again. That was directly asked for by the community.
Good job,
Star Labs is a really cool mode, and actually tomorrow's stream is going to be completely dedicated to Star Labs. And what Star Labs is, it's a series of 240 missions that is the spiritual successor of MK's Challenge Tower.
Yes.
The infamous challenge tower.
Fantastic, fantastic.
We changed the presentation of it a little bit, where we've created character chapters based on
which are here by their insignia.
So you can see, you know, the first 10 missions are the Superman chapters, the 11 through 20 are Batman, and so on and so forth. Now, for the purpose of this demo, everything's unlocked, but in the future, you'll be able to unlock missions based on how well you perform in each one of the missions. Now, I don't want to get too much into this because
we're going to talk about that tomorrow.
Derek and Brian, you know, two of the designers that worked on it and are going to come up here and kind of walk everybody through it. So it'll be cool. Battles is kind of like the classic arcade experience of a fighting game. You know, you pick your character, you fight up a ladder until you reach the end boss, and then you beat the end boss, and then you get to see your ending. Here on this screen, you can see the classic battle, but imagine this screen is going to be filled up with a number of different kind of battles as well. We have a heroes only battle, we have a villains only battle, we have a speed battle where you have to win each match in under 30 seconds. We have a poison ladder where you're bleeding out the entire match. There's just all kinds of fun stuff that's in that it's not just going to be kind of like one way to play the game. You know, we really want to focus on the single player content. You know, not everybody's fortunate enough to have people to play against on their couch, or they might not feel comfortable enough to get online and play, so we wanted to make sure that they had enough content to keep them busy with the game as well. And the way that you can unlock that content is through our experience system. We have an experience system in Injustice. At the end of each match, depending on how well you perform, you get awarded experience points and you level up, kind of like, you know, your basic standard RPG, but at each milestone level, we award the player with different things. So you'll get an access card, which gives you access to the archives, which is Injustice's version of the crypt. You know, in MK, we've always had kind of like the crypt where you can go in. Well, we have kind of that, and you can go in there and you can spend that access card to unlock alternate costumes. You can get alternate game modes. You can get concept art. You can get music. You can get all kinds of goodies in there as well. So there's going to always be that kind of reason to grind it out and keep playing and play the game in a different way. And then finally, kind of like the big mode is story mode. Obviously, this was kind of like our main focus for Injustice, because reaching out to a comic book audience, you can't just throw a bunch of characters on the screen and expect people to make it plausible, right? We had to give context for why these characters were fighting, and not only why, but how. You know, how is Superman fighting Catwoman? You know, stuff like that. So our story team kind of like got together and they put together a really epic story about kind of Injustice, and that's what the story mode is like. And I think we're gonna show a trailer. Or
yeah.
Something
So
about that,
what we're gonna do is we're gonna show a trailer of Injustice and give you a little more insight to it. But then we're gonna bring Arturo and Nerd Josh up. They're gonna be playing some multiplayer for you guys and just battling it out. So thanks for joining us here at PAX 2013. This is the Injustice Gods Among Us trailer, and when we come back, we'll have Arturo and Nerd Josh duking it out.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
I can see the headlines. Justice League fails. Cloud kills millions. It made sense at first. Bad people got what they deserved. But now, it's going too far.
Man's world is incapable of self-rule. We will preserve order.
Hands up, Bat Freak! I'm in a nightmare. Gotham and Metropolis will be history.
No. We have an alternative.
May fortune favor the foolish.
Get your people into position. Occupy any law enforcement you can.
I'm on it.
Well, look what I found. Time to end the insurgency. And me without my camera.
This is Batman. Code Red.
It's payback time.
Hi, give me Lantern.
And I'm here with Nerd Josh and Arturo. These were two of the guys from the fighting game community that came into NetherRealm during the last few weeks of development and kind of helped us balance the game and make it as good as possible. So it was really important for us to kind of reach out to different communities with Injustice. The game has, it echoes a lot of other fighting games that aren't just Mortal Kombat, so it made sense to kind of bring a legendary Street Fighter player and a legendary, I don't even know what, just a legend with Josh is out there, and to come in and kind of play the game. So we're bringing them in today. I guess, how you guys doing? You guys excited?
We're doing great. I'm glad I can finally talk about the game now.
I know, right? It's been... their participation has been under secrecy for a long time, but I guess today we can kind of go in. So basically what we're doing is that we're going to go through practice mode and kind of show you guys some of the options that we have in practice right now. So what did you guys like most about practice mode? I remember back in the studio you guys were kind of like just in practice mode all day, kind of like doing different stuff. What were the biggest things about this mode that really got to you guys as kind of like high-level players?
For me, technically, what I really liked was I could just sit here with the interactables, figuring out setups, and then I could record my own setups against myself, so then I could see how to get out and understand my setups better, which is really awesome.
Yeah, me, I like the fact that this training mode is so detailed. If you're a seasoned fighting game player, this training mode is one of the best modes out there, and NetherRealm has really taken a lot of the community feedback, especially our feedback, in regards to what a good training mode is. So you're gonna like a lot of what you see here.
Cool. So I don't know if you guys want to go into kind of the options and show people kind of like some of the things that you can do a little bit differently as far as like setting things up. So AI options are obviously set to human because you guys are both playing each other, but you want to talk through some of these different things.
Yeah, sure. So basically you have your random dummy settings. So you have block mode, you can go on or off. You can put it on stance, which is good. So let's say I wanted to always block. I could have it set, but I want them to be able to hit by overheads or something. I can set them to stance, crouch, and then practice all my overhead combos or setups or whatever. And then if I go to always and always set them to like duck, they'll always block a overhead and then go to crouch like a normal player would normally do in a 2D fighting game. So you can get the dummy to block like an actual human player, which is really good.
Cool. So right now, I guess you guys are just going through. You're going to show all this stuff. We switch over, go back to human, and we can actually go into the actual practice mode options and kind of go through some of the things that you can set here.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of your standard stuff. Like you have your super meter refill, like like a button log, so if you messed up your inputs, it'll show you like that. What a really useful feature is the reset position thing. So if you're trying to practice a combo in the corner or something with the interactable, you can actually have them set like either to the right, to the center, or the left of the stage every time. And basically you can set all the sandbox options in the game in practice mode. It's actually really, really convenient.
Cool. One of the things that we really wanted to push with Injustice is obviously kind of giving tools to the casual players as well. Not just the hardcore players, but the casual players as well. So if you guys will pause really quick and go into the moves list, I want to show the guys the ability to actually tag combos and have them display in the HUD as well, and also kind of go through some of the move down.
Yeah, you're able to tag up I believe, up to 6 moves at once, and you'll have them on your HUD on the screen. So if you're having trouble remembering, it'll be all right there. Yeah, Josh is doing that right now, highlighting a couple of moves. And also, notice the frame data, here. For seasoned vets, as well as new players, if you want to get into the game, these numbers are very important.
So the frame data is actually set to our tweak variable system. So as we kind of update the values of these numbers throughout kind of the game being released, those numbers will be updated as well. So people will have the opportunity to kind of see that frame data in real time, being changed and kind of know exactly what the game is about.
Yes, as you guys can see in practice mode, Nerd Josh has 4 moves. He has 4 moves attached to the top of the screen right there. So you can get some practice in, mess around with the sandbox, find some optimal combos, stuff like that. It's very easy for I feel that this game has a good balance between getting new players into it, because not only the single player modes, but because the training mode is so good, a lot of the animations are hype, but also this is enough depth for the hardcore players as well.
Cool. So during your time in Injustice, what were some of the cool things that you guys kind of discovered about the game that you might not have known before from just watching kind of the trailers and that kind of stuff, as kind of as outsiders kind of coming in and seeing it?
Me personally, okay, so a lot of fighting games have pretty much gone the rushdown route So when I first got my hands on Injustice and I got a chance to talk to Paulo at the boys at NRS, it made me very happy to see that there's a fine balance between rushdown and zoning characters in this game. The zoning characters in this game are actually very, very strong. So if you're a zoner that's been slighted by some of the ways that some of the popular fighting games have been played lately, this game's for you.
For me, the roster was amazing because there's not one clone character in the whole game that I could see. And
yeah, very unique. Actually, like, the entire roster is actually very unique. There are 0 clones in this game.
And I'm usually for like newer designs or like interesting characters or oddball characters, and there's so many different designs. You have like multiple grappler characters that all play completely different. There's not the same zoners even interact the same way, and like they even lose certain matchups that others would never lose, and like it's really interesting to see how this game's going to go down the line.
So I know the studio itself was really appreciative of having you guys out here, and obviously it wasn't just you guys. There were quite a few other guys as well that were kind of like in the studio, and it was interesting. You know, we would stay up until like 2 or 3 in the morning every night for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I know you guys weren't ready for that. You guys kind of got like a taste of what it's like to be in the game development life. But
it's cool, yeah. Like I definitely learned like a lot like about game development, and it was really insightful. But the one thing I like about what you guys did the most is that you guys, well, I mean, not only the casuals are going to eat this game up, I think, but you guys bridge the gap between all fighting game communities. You got all the hardcore players from multiple communities test out the game, and I think like that's unprecedented and unheard of.
You know, it's you know, hopefully it's right. Like I said, you know, having you guys out here, and hopefully we kind of bridge the gap between kind of like, you know, our community and some of the other communities as well, and we just get as many people to play the game as possible. So you guys want to show off some fancy combos? I see you're both with Batman and your Green Lantern kind of stuff.
I gotta set my buttons.
I think they're set. No,
because it's a horror stick.
Oh, I
makes a little difference.
My bad.
So so here's another thing that's completely different from MK. We actually put the pause the controller options in the pause menu itself. I think you have to pause it.
Yeah, I have to pause it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you were trying to do it.
The
random super out of nowhere. So go ahead and hit controller preset. So that was another kind of feedback that we got back from the community, is that they actually wanted the ability to set their buttons like within the pause menu at the player select screen. They didn't want to have to go out to the main menu and set their buttons and then come back in. So hopefully this will facilitate tournament play and kind of go on in here. As well, you guys see that we have kind of alternate control and release check options. You guys want to talk about that a little bit?
So basically, for the Street Fighter guys that play this game, release check is basically like it's negative edge. So what that means is, if you have release check on, if you hold a button and do a motion and let go of the button, it will perform just like negative edge in Street Fighter. So the move will come out. I mean, I play with it off. But also for the Street Fighter guys, there's also alternate controls. If you guys want to do Street Fighter style motions, that's also in the game, the alternate control as well. So basically, yeah, it's pandering to all different communities.
There's a lot of customization.
Yeah, there's a lot of customization.
So yeah, if you guys want to go back and kind of show some stuff off, I believe on Sunday, Derek is going to be back on Sunday with you guys, and we'll probably bring in a couple other guys, and we'll have some casual matches to kind of show off, so people can actually see the game kind of like in action and see what the strategy is to play it. We're not going to give too much away, obviously, but it's definitely going to be cool to kind of like get in there and show you guys off a little bit. You guys might be a little rusty since you haven't played it in a few weeks. But it should be a really good time. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we're going to be back with Brian LeBaron and Derek Kurtzik, and they're going to kind of walk you guys through the Star Labs missions, a number of them, talk to you guys about the design process and what it was like to kind of develop these little mini stories and these mini games for the DC characters. And then Sunday, we're going to come back with some more hardcore stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about the fighting engine and things like that. Definitely follow us on Twitter. Follow at Injustice Game. Follow my boss at Noobdy. Hit them up with questions. If you want to hashtag PAX East Injustice, we'll take a look at those questions and we'll hopefully answer those over the next couple days. You can hit up my Twitter. It's at Hectorific. And we'll be watching it all day. So I want to thank Twitch for having us out here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of have you guys out there. And thanks a lot, Josh and Arturo, for kind of coming up and helping demo and showing off some of this stuff as well. Showing off Green Lantern, how
I'm remembering it now.
But yeah, it should be a really good time. So April 16th, make sure you guys come out and get it. And I appreciate you guys tuning in to Twitch. And thanks a lot. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we're good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk.